here we are, guys. The map, one of the best maps in StarCraft 2 right now, in my opinion. It is Daybreak, and down at the bottom left part of it, our Evil Geniuses Terran player. He's like, hey, I heard someone did a 1-1-1. I must battle him now. It is EG.PuMa. And in the top right part of the map, in the red, from Dream Team Gaming, taking out Evil Geniuses JYP in that last game. A new kid on the block, but looking pretty good so far. He is Someday.
That's right. Very risky strategy out of him last time.
Yeah, no
but
kidding. He took a chance.
Yeah, he knew what it would take, and I loved his tank positioning at the end of the game as well. The way he was able to protect those, he took the right risk with just a couple of them so we could keep pressure on the Nexus while not overexposing too many of them. So certainly had his unit positioning down pretty darn good.
Yeah, now PuMa, I'm interested to see what he's going to do this game because everybody talks about his 1-1-1s, right? That's kind of like the thing he was known for a long time. But what really made him good at them is that they were so refined. He had just a more polished version of something a lot of other people were attempting to do. And I think that's one of his major strengths as a player, is that everything he tends to do seems very, very polished when you watch it too. So I always like watching, his decisions in terms of what he decides to go for in the game. So it's going to be curious. It's a mirror matchup. Things can get crazy. We'll have to kind of watch and see.
And it is going to be gas first for PuMa, following that up with a barracks. So he's going to have that fastest possible factory, and we'll see what he wants to do after that. If it's going to be super quick, like one gas Banshees with no cloak and expand off of it. If he's going to go for that little more predictable, or not predictable, but a little more characteristic, I should say, 1-1-1. And we'll certainly have to find out in just a bit. Nothing out of the ordinary for Someday, though. Barracks and gas right afterwards.
It could just as easily be reactored Hellions as well after a quicker expand. It's been something that's gained a lot of popularity in TVT, especially on a map like this. You can get into situations where you can kind of elevator some Marines and Hellions into your opponent's base if you decide to do something like that as well. So that's kind of one of the great things about TVT. I feel like it's definitely one of the most flexible of mirror matchups. You see a lot of mirror matchups have maybe like 2 to 3 openings that are really good on both sides, but TVT, I feel like you have at least half a dozen that are valid, safe options to do.
And yeah, looks like he is going to hide this factory off to the top right-hand corner of his base, and even dropping down the supply depot just in time to make sure that the scout wouldn't be able to get in there at all. Both players are actually going ahead and dropping their factories in a place inside of their main where it's as close to their opponent's base as possible without having to proxy that.
Not suspicious at all.
No. We're not going to see any Banshees in this game at all.
No, it's going to be all battlecruiser rushing.
Good point.
Pretty much.
Good point.
That's right. Torch took over their computers. It's going to be a battlecruiser rush.
That is true. So
I wonder if anybody actually got that joke. If Torch is out there,
is he crying?
I love your battlecruiser rushes, Torch. It's okay.
Well, supply depot's going to fall here in just a second. Taking out that neutral supply depot. Critical turning point in the game.
Oh, micro. Nice micro against that. Getting his Marines right up there.
Well, it is just one gas now for Someday. In fact, one gas for both of these players. So we're not going to have the heaviest tech all in.
Yeah.
And it looks like it is indeed going to be just uncloaked Banshees for PuMa. Back on his opponent's side of things, though, he has a reactor coming up on this barracks, so I'll be curious to see what he does next. If it's just going to be a little medevac lift or something with some Hellions.
I think that's probably what we're going to see out of Someday. It's a very common thing in TVT right now, and it does have the potential to do a lot of damage. PuMa obviously going for what looks to be some Banshee play instead, but he's going to have a decent amount of Marines and Hellions out there as well. So both players kind of getting their respective openings going. Now, PuMa, with what he's decided to do, is going to have a little bit less base defense at home. So, and you know what? By seeing the Marines and the Hellions there, if he did catch a glimpse of them, that should kind of cause him to pull back and be a little bit more defensive. In fact, we do see him running those Hellions and the Marines back immediately, So PuMa getting a good read on what his opponent is probably going to send at him, and having to kind of play things a little bit closer to the base for a little while.
Yep, we'll see what he ends up following this up with.
Yep,
the bunker right at home, so we can make sure you defends the front. That's also doubly nice because he'll be able to drop in a couple of units into the bunker and pull most of his forces back to prepare for a drop if he catches wind of it. So first medevac is out, and looks like the units are going to move across the map. Marines will jump into that medevac. Well, sometime.
They're like, wait for us.
There we go.
Right.
Okay, that's what I was waiting for.
Like medevac's like, you were really going to walk all the way there? They're like, well, we've done it before. Like, but you don't even have drugs to make you run faster yet. Oh, well.
Well, that's what you're here for.
That's right. First Banshee coming across the map right now for PuMa. Going to try to go in there and do a little bit of damage. Look at that. Already a Viking nearly finished for Someday. So he's not going to have too much of a problem with this, it looks like. As long as he does have a scan built up, he should be fine. What? Viking? What? Viking, go the other way.
And, well, that's still going. This Banshee's going to do quite a bit of damage.
Okay,
oh, and Sunday's just going to pull everything off the line.
He's just trying to save it from the Banshee, but that turns into a bit of an awkward situation for him.
That's
Whoops.
right.
All right. That's a big error for him. Someday is going to lose a lot of SCVs that way.
That's right. So already a few workers have been killed.
Yep.
Marine's not really able to drop into PuMa's base. He's sitting there, and he was able to defend very, very easily, so nothing happened on that front. And this Banshee does sneak a few kills there, actually killing 9 workers in total.
Wow, and another thing that happened during all of that is Someday's command center that he had been building was delayed as well. Now trying to put some pressure on, but PuMa is already ready with Hellions.
God, his control is so good. He was able to pick off a Hellion from the high ground, basically, and was able to goad those forces back into range of the bunker for at least half a second there. So, I don't know, man. PuMa's in such a good spot.
Yeah, he certainly is. That elevator is just an elevator of death for Marines. It's like...
Oh, God, why?
So we'll rename that strategy the Tower of Terror, I guess. Yes. Something like that. So Someday losing basically everything. He's down on supply a significant amount as well. Trying to get that expansion going, but PuMa's going to have a strong push coming out fairly soon to protect his own natural expansion if he doesn't just simply decide to continue to put on pressure with some of his units. Actually, never mind. He doesn't have any Banshees out there. So the pressure is over until PuMa decides to move out, but he's in a great spot either way.
Yeah, he is. He's up by 14 workers now.
32 to 18.
That's a huge difference at this stage in the game. Those 9 workers killed, very, very valuable for PuMa. And of course, Someday wasn't able to get too much damage done, so now he is forced to sit back and macro up. And it looks like it is going to be Marine tank, although unupgraded Marines. Whereas for PuMa, it looks like he's investing in a couple of tech labs.
Yeah. Indeed he is, and that's kind of interesting. So wanting to add some Marauders on there possibly, I would have to imagine that's what it's going to be, unless he's going to randomly build factories and go mech, but that's kind of curious. Yeah, adding some Marauders into this, so kind of having a Marine Marauder tank composition. There's Stim on the way.
He could be also just making sure as soon as we see another 100 gas, making sure he gets combat shield and Stim at the same time.
Yeah, that is possible as well, but a fairly inefficient way to do it, unless he's planning on timing this with +1 possibly. Combat shields are on the way. Yeah, I guess I've never quite seen a Terran do it exactly like that before. Obviously, you can still make Marines out of a barracks when it has a tech lab on it. That doesn't change, but interesting way to just go about doing that by PuMa. I don't know if I've ever seen anyone do it exactly like that before. Cool.
Well, for the time being, you know, Someday really has to, well, get something done, if we're honest. I mean, the onus is on him to make something happen. If he sits back and plays super defensive, PuMa's going to be able to out-macro him. He's already got that big of an advantage that it'll kind of compound as the game goes along. But Someday has no ability to really move out on the map and get anything finished. So he's kind of in a very difficult position.
Yep, that's right. Pretty big supply deficit to try to overcome here. This push is going to be hard to stop. From Evil Genius's PuMa, he's going to go ahead and destroy the rocks on the way through just to kind of give himself a little bit quicker of a running path between the two bases, let his reinforcements get there a little bit faster. Now, right now, if we take a look at the air advantage situation, I believe we have PuMa in the lead with Vikings, 3-2 there. So as long as he's able to micro those properly, it'll be well. Oh, the armies are going to clash right now.
That's right, and this is not good for Someday. Unfortunately, he only has 2 tanks there, and most of his died right away. The tanks actually being controlled pretty well by PuMa. He's only lost 1 so far and was able to clean up 2 of his opponents.
Yeah, PuMa losing a large amount of his Marines, but it looks like he still has enough to kind of continue to push here. The Vikings coming up as well. He can always land those if he wants to just take out the ground army. Still has about a 27 supply lead over his opponent. Stim is about to finish +1, and Siege Mode getting very close to finishing as well for PuMa. And I think we're going to see him just pull back. Oh, nice snipe on that unit there, and just kind of play a little bit more passively for a moment. Wait until the perfect time to do that push.
And looks like PuMa, at the very least, is going to be able to contain quite well. He has a third base coming back up at the same time. Looks like that air war slowly being won now by PuMa. Oh, wow. One of the Vikings goes down, just 1 more remaining. And that is a medevac that's not long for this world.
She's like, I just heal people, leave me alone.
What did I ever do to you? Apparently going in the distance as well.
So the medevac sounds like when she's under threat.
Oh, hey, hold position, Marines.
They're so brave.
Yeah.
Well, PuMa coming in, winning this fight pretty easily. GG.
There it is.
And EG.PuMa showing Someday how it's done in TVT and getting a lead again.